All right. Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive with the All Sorts podcast.
Yeah, exciting stuff.
Today, we're going on a culinary journey.
Ooh,
Yeah, delicious one.
I'm ready.
And we're diving deep into Galaktoboureko.
Wow, say that 5 times fast.
Galaktoboureko.
Okay, I think I got it.
It's a traditional Greek custard dessert,
Yeah.
and we've got a whole spread of sources to help us along the way.
Yeah, you really went all out this time, huh?
Well, got to be thorough, right? We've got a recipe from Pastry Wishes, another one from 30 Days of Greek Food, one from All Recipes.
Oh, the classic.
Of course, I had to include that one. And then we've also got Dimitri's Dishes and My Greek Dish to round things out.
Wow, that's a pretty diverse mix.
It is. And each one offers a slightly different perspective, a different take on Galaktoboureko.
Can't wait to see what we uncover.
Me too. So our mission today is to kind of break down these recipes, see what they have in common, what makes them unique, and really understand what makes Galaktoboureko so special.
Yeah, let's decode the magic behind it, right?
Exactly. We want to equip you with all the knowledge you need to either make it yourself or just appreciate it on a whole new level.
All right, let's get started. First things first, what exactly is Galaktoboureko?
Okay, so all of our sources agree it's a Greek custard pie.
Pie.
Made with phyllo dough.
Love phyllo dough.
And it's got that delicious syrup poured all over it.
Oh yeah, that's the best part.
But let's hear how some of our sources describe it. Pastry Wishes calls it a velvety vanilla custard.
Velvety, ooh, I like that.
Right. Baked in all those crispy, buttery layers of phyllo.
So flaky and delicious.
And then once the syrup is poured over, it becomes, get this, soft, moist, and delicately sweet.
Oh my gosh, sign me up.
Now, 30 Days of Greek Food gets a little more poetic.
Oh, how so?
They say Galaktoboureko conquers your heart, palate, and soul.
Whoa, that's deep.
Right, with an outrageously creamy custard and that extra crunchy phyllo.
They're not holding back.
Nope. And Dimitri's Dishes breaks down the name itself.
Oh, interesting.
They say Gala means milk,
Makes sense.
and Boureki means pie.
So it literally translates to milk pie.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool. So we have this custard, phyllo, and syrup combo. Let's break down each component. Starting with the custard, what variations are we seeing?
Okay, so the first thing that jumps out is that Pastry Wishes uses cornstarch instead of semolina in their custard.
No semolina. That's interesting.
Yeah, they say it creates a smoother, creamier texture.
Interesting. So it's kind of like a deliberate choice to go for that super smooth vibe.
Exactly. But then all the other sources, 30 Days of Greek Food, All Recipes, Dimitri's Dishes, and My Greek Dish, they all use semolina.
So semolina seems to be the more traditional route.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
And My Greek Dish specifically mentions using thin semolina.
Thin semolina, what's that all about?
They say it gives the custard that traditional grainy texture.
Oh, so it's like a textural thing, like a little bit of a bite to it.
Exactly. But then All Recipes does something kind of cool.
Oh, what do they do?
They actually use both regular semolina flour and cornstarch.
Oh, wow, like a hybrid approach.
Yeah, so maybe they're trying to get the best of both worlds. That structure from the semolina and some of the smoothness from the cornstarch.
That's pretty clever. So you've got options. You can go for the super smooth cornstarch route, the traditional grainy semolina, or even a mix of both.
Yep, it's all about personal preference.
I love it. Options are good. Now, beyond the ingredients, what about the techniques for making the custard? Any interesting tips or tricks there?
Oh, definitely. 30 Days of Greek Food and My Greek Dish both emphasize tempering the eggs.
Ah, yes, tempering. Crucial step.
So important. Can you explain why?
Yeah, so tempering is basically slowly adding a little bit of that hot milk mixture into the eggs before you add them to the main pot.
Right.
And this is to prevent the eggs from freaking out and scrambling when they hit that hot milk.
Yeah, scrambled eggs and custard, not so good.
Not ideal. So tempering ensures a nice, smooth custard.
And those two sources also warn against overheating the milk and semolina mixture.
Right. If you overheat it, the semolina can get all thick and gloopy.
30 Days of Greek Food even says it can become like cement.
Oh, wow. That's a visual.
Yeah, so gentle heat is definitely the key.
Low and slow, just like a good barbecue.
Exactly. Now, My Greek Dish has this really interesting tip for a lighter custard.
Oh, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
They suggest beating the egg whites separately until they form a meringue.
Ooh, meringue and custard.
And then gently folding that into the cream.
Wow, that's fancy.
Right. It would definitely make the custard lighter and airier.
Yeah, like a cloud.
Totally. So we've got all these different techniques and ingredients for the custard. Now, what about flavorings? What are we seeing there?
Okay, so vanilla seems to be the star.
Yeah, everyone uses vanilla, either extract or vanilla bean powder, like pastry wishes suggest.
Vanilla bean powder.
Right. But then some of the recipes also add citrus zest.
Ooh, citrus. I love that.
30 Days of Greek Food and Demetra's Dishes use lemon zest.
Classic combination.
And then Demetra's Dishes even mentions using orange zest.
Oh, orange zest. That's interesting.
Yeah, and my Greek dish kind of hints at that too, like it could be an option.
So we've got lemon or orange, or maybe even a combo of both.
Exactly. What do you think about that citrus addition?
I think it's a brilliant touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it adds a really nice brightness and cuts through the richness of the custard.
And it gives it that Mediterranean vibe.
Totally. Okay, so we've covered the custard in detail. What about the next star ingredient, the phyllo dough?
All right, so all of our sources agree phyllo dough is essential.
Of course, gotta have these flaky layers.
And they all stress the importance of buttering each layer generously.
Oh yeah, butter is key.
30 Days of Greek Food actually gives a ton of great tips on how to handle phyllo dough.
Oh, like what?
They say to buy high-quality phyllo, if possible fresh,
Fresh is always best.
and then defrost it slowly in the fridge.
Yeah, you don't want a soggy mess.
And to keep it covered with a damp cloth while you're working with it.
That's so important. It dries out so quickly.
It does. Demetra's Dishes also recommends looking for #4phyllo if you have a choice.
#for phyllo. Is that a specific thickness?
Yes, the same thickness they use for baklava.
Oh, that makes sense. Sturdy enough to hold the filling.
Exactly. Now, my Greek dish has this interesting trick for extra crispy phyllo.
Oh, I love crispy phyllo. What's the trick?
Instead of brushing the butter on, they sprinkle it.
Sprinkle it. Never thought of that.
Yeah, they say it helps distribute the butter more evenly.
Interesting. Makes sense.
And they also suggest using clarified butter or ghee.
Ah, ghee. That's a good idea.
Why do you say that?
Well, ghee doesn't have any milk solids in it, so it won't burn as easily.
Oh, that's right. So you get a nice golden brown color without any dark spots.
Exactly. Smart thinking. So we've got our beautifully layered, buttery phyllo. Now we need that final touch, the syrup. What are our sources saying about the syrup?
Okay, so the base for the syrup is usually sugar, water, and lemon juice.
Classic simple syrup.
Right. But 30 Days of Greek Food has this interesting twist.
With that?
Instead of just using lemon juice, they use a whole squeezed lemon.
Like the whole lemon.
Yeah, they squeeze out the juice and then throw the whole lemon in the syrup.
Wow, so you're getting all that zest and pith in there too.
Exactly. They say it gives the syrup a more intense lemon flavor.
Makes sense. More surface area, more flavor infusion.
Yeah, and they also have this important tip. Don't stir the syrup once it boils.
Oh yeah, that's key. If you stir it, it can crystallize.
Right. Nobody wants crunchy syrup.
Exactly. So Pastry Wishes says to boil the syrup for about 4 minutes. And then we've got Demetra's Dishes and my Greek dish adding honey to their syrups.
Ooh, honey, that sounds delicious.
Right. It adds a nice floral sweetness.
And Demetra's Dishes goes even further and adds orange juice to their syrup.
Ooh, orange juice. That's a new one.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that one. What do you think honey adds to the syrup besides the flavor?
Well, honey actually helps prevent the syrup from crystallizing.
Oh, interesting. So it's both flavor and function.
Exactly. Now, there's a bit of a debate about the temperature of the syrup when you pour it over the pastry.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely some differing opinions there.
So Demetra's Dishes and my Greek dish both say to pour cold syrup over a hot pastry.
To keep that phyllo nice and crisp.
Right. That sudden temperature change helps prevent the phyllo from getting soggy.
But then 30 Days of Greek Food says the syrup should just be cool.
So no, not necessarily ice cold, just cool.
Yeah, and Pastry Wishes says to immediately pour cold syrup over the hot dessert.
So it sounds like the main point is to have a good temperature difference between the pastry and the syrup.
Yeah, whether the syrup is cool or cold, that contrast seems to be important.
Okay, so we've talked about all the individual components, the custard, the phyllo, and the syrup. What about some general tips for success?
Okay, well, Pastry Wishes really emphasizes using room temperature ingredients for the custard.
Oh yeah, that's important for a smooth emulsion.
And of course, buttering those phyllo layers well.
Can't skimp on the butter.
And then scoring the top of the Galaktoboureko before baking.
Right. Helps with even baking and easier cutting later.
30 Days of Greek Food suggests scoring only the top layers after chilling the pie for a bit.
Interesting. Maybe helps prevent the layers from shifting.
Maybe. And then, when it comes to the syrup, the advice is to pour it slowly and evenly over the pastry.
Let it soak in all those delicious flavors.
And let it rest for a while after adding the syrup.
Patience is key.
And my Greek dish says don't cover the warm Galaktoboureko.
Yeah, that'll trap the steam and make it soggy.
Right. So now the big question. How do you serve this glorious creation?
Well, Pastry Wishes says it's best served at room temperature on the day it's made.
To get that perfect balance of textures.
But then 30 days of Greek food throws in a curveball.
Oh, what do they say?
They say some people like it warm, straight from the oven.
Oh, wow. For that super melty custard.
Exactly. And they also say some people prefer it the next day after the syrup has really soaked in.
Even though the phyllo might be softer.
Yeah, it's all about personal preference.
So many options.
I know, it's great. Now, what about leftovers? Can you save this deliciousness for later?
You can. All of our sources say you can store leftovers in the fridge for 4 to 5 days.
But the phyllo will soften up.
It will. And freezing is generally not recommended.
Yeah, probably wouldn't do the textures any favors.
Now, before we wrap up, Pastry Wishes does a great job of distinguishing Galaktoboureko from other Greek desserts.
Oh, yeah, it's good to know the difference.
So they mention Galaktoboureko, which is a crustless milk pie, no phyllo or syrup.
So a totally different beast.
And then there's bugatsa, which is a custard dessert but without the syrup.
Often served with powdered sugar and cinnamon, right?
Yep. And of course, we can't forget baklava.
The OG phyllo and syrup dessert.
But baklava has a nut filling instead of custard.
So many delicious variations.
You know, it's amazing. So whether you prefer a smooth, semolina-free custard or the traditional grainy texture,
Or lemon zest or orange zest.
it's clear that there are so many ways to approach this classic Greek dessert.
It's like a choose-your-own-adventure Galaktoboureko.
And we hope this deep dive has given you a better understanding of what makes it so special.
And maybe even inspired you to try making it yourself.
If you enjoyed this deep dive with the All Sorts podcast, we'd love for you to show us some love.
Yeah, spread the word.
Like, share, and subscribe to the All Sorts podcast on YouTube.
Help us keep bringing you these deep dives.
And don't forget to check out our archives for a whole menu of other fascinating topics.
We've got tons of deep dives on everything from history to science to, of course, more food.
And be sure to follow us on X, Instagram, and Threads for behind-the-scenes glimpses and more.
We're always excited to connect with our listeners.
As you go about your day, think about the amazing combination of textures and flavors in Galaktoboureko.
The crispy phyllo, the creamy custard, that sweet, fragrant syrup.
It's a reminder that even simple ingredients can come together to create something truly extraordinary.
And maybe that inspires you to look for those unexpected harmonies in other areas of your life, too.
Thanks for joining us on this delicious journey, and we'll see you next time on the All Sorts podcast.
Happy baking, everyone.
Bye!